In 2012, I left the city with my daughter Ruby, after a brutal divorce and a nervous breakdown I don't talk about. I just wanted peace. We moved into a small rental home in Ashford, Oregon. Quiet, cold, wrapped in fog most mornings. The house was cozy. Ruby was smiling again. I finally felt like I could breathe. That lasted 3 days. Our neighbor introduced himself the first morning. He called himself Mr. Harlan, early 50s. Heavy jacket despite the summer heat. One eye slightly swollen, permanently it seemed. He said he was a craftsman, liked to work in his basement. Lots of noise, he warned me. Sorry in advance. I appreciated the courtesy, but he never smiled. Not once. And he kept his windows blacked out. Even during the day. Ruby said something weird as we left for groceries. He smells like an old hospital. I laughed it off. But kids don't usually lie about smells. Nights became uneasy. Around 1 or 2 a.m., I'd hear metallic clinks, dragging sounds, faint hammering. It didn't sound like woodworking. It sounded like someone building a cage. I told myself it was none of my business. Until the smell started. Burnt rubber, mold, and something sharper, something wrong. It seeped through the vents. It clung to Ruby's clothes. She started sleeping in my room again. She said, "The walls are making noises, Dad. I think someone's trying to talk through them." I caught Mr. Harlan one night, standing behind his shed with a shovel, just staring at nothing. When he saw me watching, he waved. His hand was shaking. Later, I found a chunk of something buried in the woods behind his house. It looked like an old doll head, rotting, waterlogged, with hair tangled in dried blood. I showed it to the police. They shrugged it off. "Probably just garbage," they said. That night, my tires were slashed. Then one night I heard it. A scream. Not a cliché horror movie scream. A real one. Wet. Ragged. Like someone screaming through a mouthful of cloth. It came from Mr. Harlan's basement. I grabbed my phone, called 911, told them everything. The dispatcher asked, "Has anyone actually gone missing?" I hesitated. "No, not that I know of." "We'll file a report," she said. "But unless someone's in immediate danger, there's not much we can do." I hung up. The next morning, Ruby was gone. I tore the house apart. Her bed was untouched. No sign of forced entry. No footprints outside. Then I saw it. The small attic hatch above her closet, slightly open. I pulled it down, climbed up, and found a shoe. Ruby's favorite red sneaker. And next to it, a faint trail of handprints, leading to the shared wall between our attic and Mr. Harlan's. I lost it, grabbed a crowbar, and stormed next door. He didn't answer, so I broke in. The smell hit me first, then the silence. I crept down the stairs. The basement was dark, but I saw the outline of cages, 5 of them. Inside one was Ruby, eyes wide, duct tape over her mouth, her wrist tied. She wasn't alone. 3 other children, all unconscious, one barely breathing. Then a voice, "You're not supposed to be here." Mr. Harlan was behind me, holding a hammer. I swung first. Police arrested him within the hour. Turns out Harlan wasn't his real name. He'd changed identities twice. He'd moved town to town, always renting homes with basements, always taking children. His last confirmed victim had been 6 years earlier, but the bodies they found in the crawlspace said otherwise. He called his basement the workroom. His journals were filled with twisted logic, claiming he was fixing broken souls. He'd been watching Ruby for weeks. We moved again. Ruby doesn't speak much now, but sometimes she asks, "Do you think he's still alive?" I say no, but I always check the locks twice. If you're still here, thank you. Subscribe for more stories like this, real, terrifying, and painfully true. Comment below, what would you have done if you heard screams from next door? And remember, Sometimes the monster next door is the one smiling on your doorstep. I grew up in a quiet town in Montana, the kind where everyone knows each other's names, dogs, and weekend habits. In the summer of 2018, a new neighbor moved in 2 doors down. No family, no introduction, just showed up. An old beat-up trailer truck pulled in around midnight. No movers, no welcome committee, just one man, middle-aged, gaunt, dressed in black even though it was 85 degrees. We waved. He didn't wave back. At first we thought he was just antisocial. No harm in that. But then I started noticing something strange. Every time I left the house, he was there. Not outside, but inside, behind his curtains. Watching. Not with curiosity, but with purpose. I tried to tell my parents. They brushed it off. Maybe he's just lonely, my mom said. But then I saw the camera. It was a Saturday. I was playing basketball in our driveway. I saw a glint of light from across the street, and there he was, standing behind his window, holding up a camera, pointed at me. Click, click, click. I ran inside, told my dad. He stormed out to confront him, but by the time he got there, the blinds were closed. No answer at the door. That was just the beginning. At night, I'd hear footsteps outside our house. Not fast, just slow, deliberate pacing. When I looked through the blinds, I saw a shadow standing near the edge of the street. He never came closer. Just stood, watching. We filed a report with the local sheriff. They said there wasn't much they could do unless he stepped onto our property. So we waited and watched back. One night around 2 a.m., I saw him again. But this time, he wasn't standing, he was digging. Behind his house near the crawl space, a shallow trench, methodical, precise. I recorded it. My dad called the sheriff again. They finally came out, knocked on his door, talked to him. He said he was planting a tree. There was no tree. The sheriff left. But something about the digging, the timing, the camera, didn't sit right with me. So I did something stupid. The next night, while he was out, I snuck into his backyard. There was no lock on the cellar doors, just a hook. Inside was a staircase that led to a cold, musty basement. And on the far wall were photographs. Dozens, maybe hundreds, of our house, our windows, our cars, our bedrooms, from every angle. Marked with red X's and strange notes like, second floor window 11:46 p.m., or kid alone wed nights. I ran out, told my dad. This time we didn't wait for the sheriff. We dug up the trench behind his house ourselves. At first, just dirt. Then, plastic, a black trash bag, heavy. Inside were torn clothes, shoes, children's shoes, and a tooth. We stopped, called the police. They arrived within minutes. They tore the house apart. In the crawl space beneath the foundation, they found bones. His name wasn't even his real name. He was a fugitive from another state. Had gone missing after skipping court for a child abduction case. He'd changed his appearance, his license, everything. He'd been living here for 4 months, watching us, studying our routines, waiting. The police think he was days away from taking someone. Maybe me, maybe my little sister. We were that close. That house was torn down. No one ever moved in again. They planted a small tree where the trench had been. But every time I drive by, I swear I see him. Not in person. In my mind. Standing at the window. Not smiling. Just watching. We thought we were alone. We thought the walls were just walls. We were wrong. In 2019, I moved into an apartment with my daughter Ivy. It was just the two of us now, after her father left, after the court battles, after the drinking. I needed to give her a fresh start. And this place, modern, quiet, digitally connected, seemed perfect. Smart lock, smart lights, smart cameras in every room. It made me feel like we were safe, like I was finally in control of something. We lived on the third floor of a newer complex just outside Seattle, mostly families, professionals, people who kept to themselves. Ivy was 15. She didn't talk much anymore. But when we moved in, I saw her smile for the first time in months. I remember she said, "Can I set the lights to pink in my room?" I laughed. "Anything you want." The first night was calm, unpacking, pizza on the floor, Netflix in the background. Nothing strange, but that didn't last. On the third night, Ivy came out of her room and said, "Mom, my speaker started playing on its own." I asked what it played. She said it wasn't music, it was talking, low, garbled whispering. I figured maybe it was Bluetooth interference. She had a habit of exaggerating. I reset the speaker and told her not to worry, but she was right to be worried. The next week, I noticed our thermostat kept changing. I'd set it to 70. An hour later, it would be 80, or 60, or off completely. Sometimes the front door would unlock without us doing anything. Just click. Unlocked. I checked the logs on the app. Nothing. Just a manual override. That made no sense. I changed the password, added two-step verification. Still happened. I filed a maintenance ticket. No one came. Then things got stranger. Ivy started waking up with her lamp on, and her closet open. Every time. Same position. She thought she was sleepwalking. I thought maybe the door was drifting open from airflow. But one night I came in while she was sleeping, and I closed the closet myself. I turned off her lamp. I watched her fall asleep. Then I left. 2 hours later, I got up to check again. The lamp was back on. The closet door cracked open about 8 inches. I stood there, frozen. I didn't want to scare her, so I said nothing. I just told myself, the wiring must be faulty. Maybe the motion sensor was too sensitive. But deep down, I knew. Something wasn't right. The final straw came on a Sunday night. I was working late. Ivy was asleep. I got a notification from our home app. Motion detected, Ivy's bedroom. Time, 2:41 a.m. I opened the live feed. The room looked empty. Then I noticed something. The camera had moved slightly. It was now angled higher, facing the ceiling. I tried to rotate it from the app. It didn't respond. I tried again. Nothing. Then the feed cut out. Device offline. I ran down the hallway, heart racing. Her door was closed. I knocked, whispering, "Ivy, are you okay?" No answer. I opened the door. She was asleep. The light was on again. And the closet door? Open. I looked at the smart camera. It had been turned, manually, to face the ceiling. I grabbed it. It was loose. The mounting screws had been unscrewed. Not by accident. I didn't sleep that night. In the morning, I checked the device logs. There was a brief login to our smart system, from a different IP address. At 2:37 a.m., the camera had been disabled remotely. I called the apartment office. They told me no one else had access to our unit. Then they told me something else. There had been complaints from previous tenants, unexplained noises, electrical issues, even reports of someone knocking inside the walls. None of that had been disclosed to me. Ivy stayed home from school that day. I didn't want to leave her alone, but I had no choice. While I was out, she texted me, "Mom, someone was in the bathroom." I froze. I called her immediately. She said she heard the door open, the floor creak and footsteps, but when she opened the door, no one. I drove home like a maniac. Nothing was missing, no sign of forced entry. But her toothbrush was gone, replaced with one we didn't own, a red one. We only bought green. That night I searched the apartment from top to bottom. I didn't sleep. Every creak felt like breathing. Every shadow felt like watching. At 3 a.m., I remembered something. There was a small utility hatch behind the washer. I opened it. It led into a narrow crawl space, dark, damp, and someone had been there. There were footprints in the dust, empty food wrappers, a used blanket, and a set of batteries. the kind used in small devices like wireless cameras. I called the police. They arrived within 20 minutes. They searched the crawl space and found more. A duffel bag. Inside were photos. Photos of Ivy, of me, in the kitchen, in the bathroom. Photos taken from inside our apartment, from angles that didn't make sense, unless someone had been hiding in the vents or behind the walls. They also found a USB drive. It contained hundreds of hours of audio recordings, all from our home. The man had been living inside the building, possibly even our own unit at times. He had hacked our smart system, watched us for weeks, maybe months. No fingerprints, no DNA. He was never caught. But the police suspected he had done it before. Other complexes, other tenants. They believe he moved from unit to unit, posing as a maintenance tech or delivery driver. They said we were lucky, that he hadn't done more. We moved out the next day. No forwarding address, no boxes, and just bags and fear. To this day, Ivy won't use smart devices. She won't sleep in a room with a camera, or a closet she can't lock. As for me, I still get chills when I hear the click of an automatic door, or when the lights flicker for no reason, because I still wonder, was he ever really gone? Or did he just move on to someone else? If you're watching this on your phone or your smart TV or with a camera pointed at your face, just know you might not be the only one watching. If you stayed with me to the end, thank you. Hit subscribe for more true, terrifying stories that could happen anywhere, even on your street. Comment below. Have you ever had a neighbor who watched you just a little too closely? Stay safe. Lock your doors. And never ignore the ones who stay too quiet.